Welcome to the first episode of Pimp on the Go, powered by GGBET. Earlier this week, I talked to a very interesting person. One guy who's killed me over and over and over again in Counter-Strike. A guy who's won it all and one of the big legends of Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I'm of course talking about GeT, one of the greatest players to ever touch the game of Counter-Strike. He was a very interesting guy to talk to, so let's get to it. Hey buddy, how you doing?
Oh.
You good?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
You good? You good? You ready to go for a walk?
Of course. It's a beautiful weather, so
it is beautiful and beautiful scenery as well. You ever been to Antwerp before?
No, it's my first time ever, actually.
Me too. I didn't expect the weather to be good in Belgium, I'm not gonna lie. But
why not?
I don't know, I guess coming from Denmark, I just expected weather to be...
our Scandinavian weather is bad.
That's true.
That's always going to be like that. It's still not even summer in Sweden and Denmark, so...
It's never summer in Sweden and Denmark.
You
want to go for a walk?
Yeah, let's do it.
Listen, buddy, we're here to talk about Counter-Strike, first and foremost, but we're also here to talk about you.
Okay.
Because everyone has heard you in interviews and everyone has heard your story, basically, and I'm more curious to the personal side of it.
Okay.
Because honestly, you know, you have achieved everything. I remember playing against you in 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
Don't think I've ever beaten you, maybe once at Alesund, but after that you kicked my ass so many times.
I crushed a 16-2, I remember that game.
I have also crushed you 16-3, so
yeah, exactly.
Let's not start with that. But
no, that is what I said. Yeah, I know, I remember when I lost against you.
That was a nuke. I remember that game. That was the only victory I ever had against you.
I think you and Glay were screaming so much.
We were annoying, huh?
Danes with all their like props and shit like that. It was
that's
funny.
what we do. We annoy our opponents by not winning. But Chris, the thing with you is you have been through everything. You've gone from I guess sitting in a basement-like scenario, you know, playing Counter-Strike and just dreaming about perhaps, you know, making it a living way to now be in a position where you have achieved everything you can achieve in Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
And I got the question for you. In which of those periods did you enjoy playing the most? Was it back when you were just sitting in your basement, chilling, having fun, and just enjoying the game? Or was it on the big stages when you were winning majors and winning tournaments?
I would answer with two answers.
Okay.
First, it's like the grind, and actually starting from nowhere in the basement. I actually sit in the basement at home, so you weren't off with that.
Okay.
So it was like more interesting, you know, like the whole industry and like gaming. I mean, there was not an industry back then, so I was playing for fun and just getting to know people and the friends I still have today. It's like still part of my life, so it's quite interesting with that, you know, because it takes a lot of hours and grind to actually become something in anything. But this was like an industry that didn't exist, so it's like, can you be a professional? Can you get paid? Can you win something? Like. And it's part of it, you know, you get scammed, you like your organizations and they're not even paying you. Like, I don't know, like I've always been a person that take everything in and like I accept everything no matter what. So it's like a learning experience. But the second one, if you're gonna fast forward years, it's like 2014, I think it was, and walk into the Katowice arena and it's full, it's packed. And seeing it that actually you can play professional Counter-Strike on that level and with being inside of an arena and just hearing everyone screaming and cheering. They weren't cheering for us though, they were always for the Polish guys.
Of course.
But I still remember when I walked out and I just like started to stand still like this in front of us and I'm just looking up and I'm like, could this actually be something?
Were your parents supportive? Because I remember my parents back in the day, like I had a dad and a mom, obviously, who Counter-Strike wasn't a thing, you know, being a professional wasn't a thing, as you said. And there was times, you know, when I would be yelling, you know, 11 at night, you know, playing gathers or having fun, and they'd be like, listen, Jacob, we're going to cut the internet if you don't shut the F up right now. I had those, you know, fights with my parents, and at the end of the day, they ended up supporting it because they understood how much it meant to you, or to me. Was that the same with you?
I never had an issue. My parents, they're pretty straightforward. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings, and all my brothers played as well. They introduced me to gaming, and my father got the PCs first, so like we were always on top of the game before everyone else. We got the ADSL, like the fast internet back in days, before everyone else, like all the kids on the block.
Kids,
exactly. It still wasn't good, you know, but nowadays it's like shit. But no, like they were like, if you fix school, then you can do whatever you want. Would I say I was a good student? No, I wasn't. I went to bed at 2, 3 in the mornings. I went up at 7. I was always the first kid to leave the house. I've never had issues to just go up, you know, and like maybe overslept or something. No, I was always there. I was always in school. Did I do my homework? No. Were I a good student overall, like I said? No. But the thing is, my parents saw the passion, I think, and they just accepted it more and more. And we also had big LAN parties, me and my brothers. Yeah. I think one time we had over 30 people in our house.
Okay.
So
and they were supportive of that.
They helped with everything, gave us tables, chairs, and even monitors for some who doesn't want to bring it over. And it was big, those CRT monitors back in the day. It was heavy for an 11-year kid to run around with those, you know.
I used to have a dad where I lived on the country, so our internet was absolutely terrible. Whenever he would load up, a YouTube page or he would surf on the internet, my ping would spike from 40 to 80 or 90. And my dad was a heavy computer user, so every time I played an official game, or I even remember a game against you guys where I'm in the middle of a clutch. We obviously lost it, right? But I'm in the middle of a clutch and my ping spikes from 50 to 120 because he's watching a cat fail video on YouTube. And I was like, are you goddamn kidding me? So we all had those, I guess fights we had to take, or we all had to figure out how to establish our life. And that's what you talked about, you enjoyed the grind back then, and you obviously enjoy being in the stadiums. Now, I would ask you, what is the most memorable thing in your career? And I'm pretty sure you would probably tell me something along the lines of winning a major or winning the biggest trophy on a big stage. I remember this picture where you're sitting on the scene crying and just soaking it all in, right?
Yeah.
So that would be your biggest memory, but I don't really care about that because that's something we've heard before.
Yeah.
What is the biggest downfall you feel you had with Counter-Strike? When were you at your lowest and what kind of made you feel that way?
I think the E-League major qualifier in 2016 or Cologne 2016, both of them. Because they're both like more personal. 16 was a rough year health-wise. I was also in a way homeless between it when I was still playing professionally. So I had to get an apartment and like I lived in the office and it was weird times.
Sure.
And I gained a lot of weight and it was just a rough time, like everywhere. Wherever I went, wherever I looked, it just felt like bad.
Okay.
And whatever I did, it just failed, it felt like. And I also went out in a 6.5 relationship at the same time, so it was rough. And being with the same person since I was 20, now I'm 26.
Yeah.
And like, I'm clueless. What I want to do, I'm not performing, the team is not performing, I don't have anywhere to live, I don't like, it's rough. And then, you know, like, you have teams, he just comes there, he's been grinding. You usually beat them, but then like, you lose. And you sit there.
It's a reality check.
It's a reality check on all levels. And it was rough. Like, I always say like, I always take in everything, every experience. And like you even mentioned the major win there, like that's not even the first one I think of.
Okay.
So
should we sit down and yeah?
Of course.
It's getting rough for my old ex.
I mean, so, I'm older than you, so I need to sit down more.
You are pretty old. So it's all falling apart. Nothing works out. You know? And I think that's the story I find interesting, because how do you bounce back from that? Like where do you find yourself when you're at your lowest, and how do you come back?
To be honest, I don't really have a straight answer, but I think it's just, I also have a stomach disease. First it was IBS, and then it was Crohn's. Like, it's been a lot of different turns. So for the public eye, they think that I have Crohn's now, but it's the honest truth, I don't have Crohn's. Okay. And I don't have IBS, but I have something else, and it's in Swedish, and I don't even know how to explain it in English in a good way.
Something you're still dealing with today?
I'm still dealing with it today, and it's actually a really bad period right now. But
it does give you a different perspective on life, I guess?
Exactly, and that's one of the things, because I've also had pains through tournaments and sitting where my body doesn't work, and I've always had pain, it feels like.
Sure.
So that's why I'm always so positive with everything. It's like, it could be worse. Yeah. It's a simple saying, but the thing is, like, the older you get, you understand it more and more. When I was 20, when someone told me when I was 20, I was like, what the F are you saying? Like, what is this, you know? Yeah. It's quite interesting, because like, I see things a lot differently now when I'm not even playing professionally. And I think that's why I can enjoy my life even more than before somehow. Yeah. So, I don't know, it's something like that. You have to be a little bit more positive, I think. Like.
Of course. And as you said, it does give you different perspective on life. You know, my weight loss, I remember, you know, going from being a big guy to a smaller dude. It's like, I feel like I see life from two different perspectives now. I've been the big guy, you know, who were bullied in school and people didn't want to be around, to now be a guy that I make a living, you know, being in front of a camera. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago if that was even being remotely possible, I would have said no at all. But it does teach you a lot of stuff along the way, right? And I guess what you're referring to here, your period in 2016 when nothing worked out, you wouldn't want to be without that, right? It helped you a lot to become who you are today. You know what? All this motivational talk inspires me to go for a walk again. I want to get fit again. So let's keep moving. You know, let's keep moving. All right, Chris. Yep. So you told me a bit about your downfall in 16, right? You told me about that being a rough period. And safe to say, as we spoke, right, you learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question that I think a lot of people out there also think about, you know, in our situation. For your entire life, you've been playing Counter-Strike. For your entire life, your life has been situated around Counter-Strike. I bet you missed a lot of birthdays, a lot of parties, a lot of everything basically in order to go to events and all that kind of stuff. So what do you do after your career's finished? Like when you decided to retire, were you ever afraid that you didn't have an identity anymore? Like were you ever afraid that you didn't know what to do with your life?
The thing is, like, a lot of people ask me that question actually. Like they ask, like, have you felt you lost yourself because you've done this the whole life? I actually feel like I started my life. Yeah. Because I feel like I'm trying to find myself. And of course it's a thing, like the older you get, you'll care less about what everyone's opinion is. Sure. But the thing is, like, I always miss competing. I miss everything around it. I miss all of those cool things, traveling more and, you know, meeting people, my friends and, you know, those things. But like getting an opportunity to celebrate my parents' birthday or my own one and my siblings or my best friends and, you know, all the ex-girlfriends I had in the past or something like that, which I never either also had the time for. Yeah. It's like surprising when I'm like, on a Friday, I can actually be like, I'm done. Yeah. Today with my work. I feel like I can just like drop it. The concept of having a weekend? Exactly. And I just like, I can go meet up my friends for a beer and like, or a dinner, or just take a long walk without having too much hustle about it. It's amazes me actually every day. You hear that right in other sports, like take football as an example, right? You have football players who, they've been playing football since they were 10 years old. They lived their entire life, you know, in this, some say maybe like a luxury life in a way, right? And then bubble. In a bubble, that's basically what you do. And then when you get out of that bubble, I mean, it sounds to me like you found your footing, like you're on firm ground. But there's a lot of football players, people who bike a lot, you know, who are good at cycling, handball, you name it, any sports out there. They lose their identity, right? Yeah. That is a scary prospect, and I know you to be a guy that obviously landed on your feet, but you can also look around you and maybe ex-teammates or players you played against and competed against. There's a lot of players that is no longer around, and I don't know whether or not they landed on their feet or not, and that is scary. It is. I mean, it must be the same time for you when you quit. Like, what am I doing? Like, I literally went back from Liquid. Right? I was living in Los Angeles, went back home, rented an apartment, and I was like, sure, I still have a contract, I still get paid, you know, for a certain period of time. Yeah. I don't really want to play Counter-Strike right now. Yeah. So I took a job at a local football stadium, and I started selling hot dogs and selling, you know, beers and sodas, just so I did something, right? And trust me, in that period, I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, am I gonna sell hot dogs for the rest of my life, or am I gonna pick up playing again? Do I start working in the TV business? What do I do? I don't even know. Yeah. So I guess it's one of those learning experiences where you said your life started, right? But I guess you had a period, you know, before that happened for you, where you were also thinking to yourself, is this life better? Like, is me competing, playing Counter-Strike, is that life better than the life I'm gonna get afterwards? And I guess you have to do it in order to find out. I just see it like this. It's very harsh to say this, but you have to listen to me when I say it. Okay. If I go back playing, I'll probably die. Okay. And what I'm trying to say with that is like, my mentality is so much different than most other people. They'll probably be like, yeah, he will just take a paycheck or whatever. Now I go all in, and then I go back to my grinding ways and days, and I put in like 16 hours per day. I don't do anything. I just eat, sleep, and then play. Yeah. And then trying to compete, and I push my teammates even to the next level when some maybe don't have it. And like I fight myself back, and I want to be the best again. Yeah. And I'm not talking just the team, myself. Like, that would be a hilarious story to be saying like, yeah, he took a break for 2 years and he came back and was even better than before. Like, oh, or like he actually came to become like top 3 player again. Yeah. But if I became top 3, I would have pissed. Yeah. Because I want to be number 1 again. Okay. So it's an unhealthy obsession, I guess. It is, because then I don't think I will leave my place, leave my apartment. I will only travel when it's forced or needed to or something like that. And that's why I think, like, because of my health history and all of those things it became worse and worse through the years. Yeah. And I noticed also further down in my career that I got anxiety and panic attacks, which I never experienced beforehand. And that's why I'm like saying that word, like I'll probably die because I will push the boundaries too much. And I'm not 16 anymore. I'm not 18, I'm not 20, I'm not 24. Like, I'm 32.
And that's the point you're trying to make right here. I think a lot of people out there also think to themselves, if they were to watch this for the first time, you're playing computer games, right? You're sitting in front of your PC, you're clicking on a mouse, you're clicking on a keyboard, but am I right in saying that, obviously knowing it from myself, but also in your case, that the mental hurdle, the mental stress, and the sheer energy you put into the game, it's not sustainable for 10, 20 years. Even though we don't have the physical limits football players or other sports have, mentally you cannot cope with that pressure for more than maybe 5, 10, at maximum, like a guy like Forrest, maybe 15 years, right? And that in itself is a unique story as well.
Yeah, but that's why it still amazes me that they're still playing.
Yeah.
Forrest, Taz, Neo. Because they come from the old guard in 1.6, and we come from a different generation how to put in the hours. And we didn't have mental training. We didn't have PTs. We didn't have a dietist. We didn't have someone to speak about when something is wrong, or someone that's pushing you, or someone is like helping out with coaches, analysts. We didn't have that. Everything was on your shoulders.
Sure.
So I think like if they had it and me myself in an early stage, I probably would be a better run. Like overall, I think all of us would be like probably feel a little bit better, like health-wise and like mental stage. But no, like it's like I said, 5-10 years seems like more like a suitable thing, because like look on traditional sport, they also have their time limits. That's why you have to also think about those people that make that kind of money, which is unreal, like a football player. I think about it, they're giving like 15 years of their life. If they're that good, actually can
living
be
in the bubble, as you said.
Living in a bubble. Like Cristiano Ronaldo is the best example.
Yeah.
Still amazing player. Still does everything. You know. How can they do it? You know. But I think they come from the same-ish school like myself, where it's like, you know.
I was going to use you as a case for that as well. Yeah. Because you did play 1.6 when you were what, like 12, 13, 15?
Came out 2003, so I was 13.
13, there
and
you go.
I started playing CS when I was 9.
There you go, right. You played Counter-Strike for a very, very long time, and you may not be playing right now, you may not be doing like Forrest is doing, but you still had a long, long career, and as said, you won everything. Yeah. So I think we should finish this one on a more positive note as well. I did ask you, you know, what is the biggest moment of your career? And again, I'm referring to this picture I have in mind where you sit on the stage with the trophy. I'm going to ask you a different question in the same direction though. Which is the best memory you have outside of the scene, like from a trip, from a travel, from a tournament? Have you been somewhere where you thought, wow, I could live here, or wow, what I experienced today, given that I'm here for a tournament, was something I'm never going to forget?
There's always a couple, but if I need to, I'll answer with one. It's when I was 19, I got my first professional contract in Fnatic. I was forced to quit school because of my grade, like I mentioned before. Sure. And they didn't agree to me be off from school for a while, and esports was still not a thing. Yeah,
I've been there. It's tough.
And I was gone for 2 weeks and going to Korea. And I remember when I was sitting in this player shuttle, everyone shared back in those days. Nowadays you get your own one. And I had one of those, what is it called? Not iPods. I think I had an iPod, and I put on like music in my ear, and I leaned towards the window, and I see the beautiful like nature in Korea, because this wasn't Seoul, like in a big city, it was like outside of Seoul. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, damn.
I made it.
I made it. But not really. I didn't say like I made it, but more like, you know, why am I here? Yeah. And I'm 19 years old. Had a bad reputation those times. I've been kicked from a lot of teams and put my health, that's where my health issue started. But, you know, like, and I was sitting there with all the legends in those times, Taz, Neo, Pasha hasn't joined yet, he was like 6 months later, Lord Cuban, and we had the Danish guys, Sunde, MJ, Sonic, that most of the people remember now, Abe, who was the last one again?
MJ maybe?
No, MJ, I think I said MJ. MJ, Abe, Sonic, Sunde.
Trace?
No, Wimp, yeah. And also, I was part of Fnatic with Karn, Forrest, DSN, Gox. And the friendly relationship everyone had was so much completely different than today. I mean, everyone is friendly, but it was like everyone here is for the passion. Everyone is here for competing and be like. We always celebrate drinking. We also drink together, but we never had like an official after party. So we had to plan it, and we had to also find like the cheapest place because not everyone had the cash for it. And we were like, yeah, let's do rock paper scissors, pays the beer. And we had competition between us, the Danes, and the Polish guys. We were really close, we three. And then the Navi guys, Marco, and those guys came also like a year later. Like they also got connected with us, and like it was just cool times. Like. We never traveled that much as we did later on, but every time it's like, hey, how are you doing? Yeah. Philip, how's life? You know, and that's Neo, for example, like, yeah, it's going well, I'm dating this person, and like someone saying they're buying a house, or they're like thinking about taking a loan to do something, or thinking about, you know, maybe have a kid, or I don't know. We had like so many different like discussions, which happens today as well, but it was like, I was 19, I was introduced to the world.
Young,
I was a new kid on the block, and it was just like, it was so different.
But you literally had that moment sitting in that shuttle, imprinted in your mind, and you're thinking like, all right, this is something, you know, this could be something, right? And it turned out to be, I guess, the greatest path you've had in your life. You know, you made it to win the biggest tournament in Counter-Strike. You were the best player in the world for a couple of years as well, many years in fact, right? And you had a period where I remembered, obviously, because I lost 3 finals to you, but you were unbeatable, right? Yeah. It must have been nice to go through that. Chris, it's been a good time talking to you. I have one more for you, but I think we should find a place to sit down, get something to drink, and then I'm gonna hit you with some fired up questions.
Ooh,
you ready?
Interesting. Yeah, I'm ready as well. Let's do it.
Should we sit?
Yeah, let's sit.
Finding some shadow, man. Sun everywhere in the city, huh?
We're not built for this. That's the problem.
I am literally not built for this weather.
If you're saying you're not built, I think I'm worse than that. I think I've never been built for it.
You got a bit of tan, don't you?
Bro, I'm so so pale.
At least I won that one, huh?
Yeah.
Couldn't win in Counter-Strike. Listen up, buddy. I got some rapid fire questions for you right here.
Ooh.
You get 2 possible answers. You pick one. I don't want you to explain why. I don't want you to think about it. You just hit me as fast as you can. Okay?
Okay.
Very simple. Simple rules.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Denmark or Norway?
Norway.
Simple or fallen?
Fallen.
Pizza or burger?
Pizza.
Big arena or small arena?
Big arena.
Forest or get right?
Forest.
Pimp or get right?
Get right.
All right, thanks.
You caught me off guard with the players. I was supposed to say you, so you get confused. You're like, what?
Big arena or small arena?
Small arena.
Medium-sized arena or big arena?
Big arena.
Sorry, it's very simple. I'm gonna give you 2 options.
Okay.
And you give me the options.
Like A or B?
Fuck. Simple or fallen?
Simple.
Why?
Why? He's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT?
Yeah.
Okay. AMD or Intel?
AMD.
AMD?
AMD. All the way.
Fuck! I can't forget the last one. Fur or bolts?
Fur.
It's too fast for my brain.